Hi, my name is Anthony Liardi, and I am the Member of Provincial Parliament for the riding of Essex. I was invited by your professor to provide a brief video to be used during your Environmental Politics and Policy course. I was invited to provide a 10-minute video outlining our work and our party's position concerning environmental issues. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity, and I'm happy to participate. I think I should start by telling you a little bit about myself. Before getting elected, I was a practicing lawyer. My office was located in Harrow, and I practiced law for about 24 years. I served as a councillor on Amherstburg Town Council from 2000 to 2003, and as deputy mayor of the town of Amherstburg from 2004 to 2006. I also served as a board member of the Essex Region Conservation Authority for 10 years. I was elected on June 2nd, 2022 to represent the Progressive Conservative Party in the riding of Essex. The riding of Essex is comprised of the town of LaSalle, the town of Amherstburg, the town of Essex, the town of Kingsville, and the municipality of Lakeshore. I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of the projects that I've worked on in Essex County for the benefit of my riding and my constituents. These would be projects that are associated with environmental issues in and around my community. First, I'd like to talk about the restoration and preservation of land around the area of Cedar Creek. The upper portion of Cedar Creek contains more than 20 hectares of mature forest, thriving wetlands, and meadows. Surrounding this area are other conservation lands like Cedar Creek Provincial Park and Marianne Girling Nature Reserve, preserved by the Nature Conservancy of Canada. The Cedar Creek wetlands provide flood mitigation in Essex County and, of course, help clean water and help sequester carbon. A second project is located just outside Point Pelee National Park. It's called Hillman Sand Hills. It's 30 acres in size and contains forest, sand ridges, and wetland. These projects are made possible in part through our government's Greenlands Conservation Partnership Program and are carried out by organizations such as the Nature Conservancy of Canada and members of the Ontario Land Trust Alliance. I'm pleased to say that the Government of Ontario has contributed to these projects in Essex County and continues to give financial support to various organizations so they can continue launching projects such as these, not only in Essex County, but across Ontario. Next, I'd like to talk about Jack Miner Migratory Bird Sanctuary in Kingsville. Jack Miner's is famous in Essex County. Its founder, Jack Miner, was a local brickmaker who created a migratory bird sanctuary for Canadian geese in 1904. His efforts were successful, and during his lifetime he became quite famous. He received visits from many important people, including Ty Cobb and Henry Ford. He's considered the father of conservation in Canada. Jack Miner Migratory Bird Sanctuary comprises over 400 acres of land, including a picnic area, a viewing tower, historic house, learning center, and gift shop. Jack Miner's offers tours and field trips, and they do banding of migratory birds on a regular basis. The project at Jack Miner's will restore 14 acres of land. It's currently zoned agricultural, but it floods on a regular basis, meaning that it's not very good for agricultural use, but it would make a great wetland. The project will also include an adjacent meadow and forest. In Essex County, we have a lot of farming and big farms, so natural areas tend to be fragmented, interrupted, but in this case, the 14-acre project will be developed immediately next to existing natural landscape. It's an existing Carolinian forest. That means the total amount of natural area will be much larger and therefore be more likely to support wildlife. This project is made possible in part through funding from the province of Ontario, and with Ducks Unlimited, Ontario Power Generation, and the Canadian Wildlife Federation as funding partners. Now I'd like to turn my attention to two greater provincial-wide policies that go beyond the borders of Essex County. Ontario is the first jurisdiction in North America to completely phase out coal-fired electricity generation, a landmark achievement made possible in large part by the province's fleet of CANDU nuclear reactors. Additionally, in 2022, Ontario had one of the cleanest electricity grids in North America and in the world, with approximately 90% of Ontario's electricity coming from non-emitting sources. Compared to our neighbors in the States, Ontario's electricity system emits far less greenhouse gas per unit of electricity produced. In general, our existing power grid is approximately 87% clean. That means approximately 87% of our energy is procured through fuel sources that do not emit carbon. Approximately 60% of our energy is produced through nuclear generation. Approximately 27% of our energy is produced through hydro generation, and the remainder is a mix of wind, solar, natural gas, and other sources. Natural gas is an essential ingredient to our energy grid. There are many areas of Ontario, especially in rural Ontario, where natural gas is absolutely essential. In addition, natural gas is essential to some agricultural processes, such as drying grain. Finally, natural gas is also essential to smoothing out residential demand. You cannot ramp up nuclear, wind, or solar production on short notice. That's why natural gas energy production is necessary to smooth out exceptionally high peak demand periods. As stated previously, approximately 87% of Ontario's power grid consists of clean energy. We also talked about how gas is required to fulfill exceptionally high peak demand. However, another way to satisfy high demand periods is through energy storage. Electricity is notoriously difficult to store. However, with modern technology, we are finding newer ways to store electric energy. For example, Ontario recently concluded the largest battery storage procurement in the history of the province. The Ontario government and the Independent Electricity System Operator of Ontario, that's the IESO, have secured a total of 2,195 megawatts of capacity, which is enough to power the peak demand of 2.2 million homes. The energy storage capacity includes 1,784 megawatts of clean energy storage. When combined with the previous round of procurement, Ontario's entire storage fleet consists of 26 facilities with a total capacity of 2,916 megawatts. Why is this important for the environment? As stated previously, one of the barriers to providing carbon-free energy is the problem of storage. When we overcome the problem of storing energy, we help reduce our reliance on carbon-based products for on-demand energy. This will be particularly important as our provincial motor fleet shifts away from the fuel combustion engine to the electric engine. And that brings me to our next topic, which is our government's plan to create a circular economy for electric vehicles here in Ontario. As late as 2017, industry analysts were predicting no new investment in Ontario for the automotive industry. Today, only 7 years later, Bloomberg NEF released its latest global lithium-ion battery supply chain ranking, which reported that Canada has indeed overtaken China for the top spot. Ontario is the only subnational jurisdiction in North America to have 5 major global automotive assemblers. We have landed $43 billion worth of new electric vehicle investment in the province of Ontario. Ontario has approximately 9.4 million registered vehicles. Not all of them will be replaced by electric vehicles. However, eventually, most of them will. The conversion from the internal combustion engine to the electric-powered engine will not happen overnight, but it will happen. It will result in lower overall carbon emissions and a cleaner environment for everyone. On the topic of converting from carbon-based energy to electric energy, we should also talk about the conversion of steel-producing furnaces. There are 2 significant steel-producing furnaces in Ontario. One is located in Hamilton, and the other is located in Sault Ste. Marie. The Government of Ontario is providing financial assistance for the conversion of these furnaces to electric arc furnaces. After this is accomplished, it will be the environmental equivalent of eliminating 2 million automobiles. It will constitute an historic change. It is probably the single most significant environmental carbon reduction in the history of the province of Ontario. In general, we are expanding wetlands, expanding natural spaces, reducing carbon emissions, and promoting electric use while expanding our clean electricity grid. Most significantly, we will accomplish all of this without imposing a carbon tax. I would say that this differs considerably from the approach of other political parties. Other political parties insist that there should be a carbon tax. Other political parties insist that they can change human behavior by imposing negative tax consequences. That's why the Liberal and the NDP parties support the carbon tax. It is my submission that the imposition of a carbon tax has extremely limited ability to change human behavior. For example, if someone in Essex County needs to drive 15 kilometers to get back and forth from work, they must still drive 15 kilometers, regardless of how steep the carbon tax gets. They will not replace their car with a bicycle. Thus, the carbon tax fails to alter human behavior. Similarly, farmers must dry their grain. This is not optional. Grain drying is time-sensitive and also essential. There is no replacement for natural gas in this or several other agricultural processes. Imposing a carbon tax will not change the reality of this situation. In summary, you will notice that the approach of the Ontario government towards the environment has two overarching patterns. First, we provide financial incentives and work with partners. Second, we ensure that economic goals are consistent with environmental goals. All of this is evident in our naturalization programs, our electric vehicle strategy, and our overall environmental policy. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity of providing you with this video, and I wish you the very best of luck in your studies. I'm Anthony Liardi, the Member of Provincial Parliament for the riding of Essex.